Broom, and I lived on Silwood for 22 years. I think it was 1979 I think we moved here. And we moved out literally at the point of them knocking it down. My block on Cranemead was one of the first blocks to be emptied of its residents and moved on. And then the rest followed after that, really.
Didn't they offer you a place on here?
No, we wasn't. The first lot of us that was moved out was not offered a place back on Silwood because they hadn't yet started the regeneration. So we were moved out. They knocked down our blocks. They were built, and then people from the other half of Silwood were moved forward. The ones that did want to stay, and then they carried on regenerating as they went through the rest of the estate. But most of us from the original Silwood, the old Silwood, moved off miles away. Some of us have kept in contact, but some of us haven't really.
What memories stand out for you?
Those we've got, street parties, community centre, just the everyday running of the Silwoods, just us lot running around, doing what we did as kids, playing football, climbing trees, playing run-outs, the usual.
Where did you play football?
On the field outside my house mainly, on Cranemead, because it had the big football pitch there that was converted into a playground after the GLC disbanded, and they created all the garden spaces on the estate and the security doors went in. Other than that, it was the old yards over the deads, and then the railway arches. There was much else to play with, and Senegal Fields obviously, but then Millwall took over that space when they closed down the original ground and moved to Silwood Fields.
Where did you have your bonfires?
Well, we used to have our bonfire in our back gardens because in my block on Cranemead we had, obviously, the whole block there. We had our gardens sectioned off from everybody else. We had access to back gardens where the rest of the Silwood didn't have back gardens. It was only the downstairs had back gardens, but on my block, I think it was the only one that actually had access to downstairs and upstairs. We used to use my garden as a bonfire and then use Kim's garden for us to sit back and then have all our hot dogs and burgers and stuff.
So you don't, when you come on, didn't they have the bonfire on the pitch?
We used to, but the council didn't like that because obviously it damaged the grass, the kids couldn't play football, and where we'd burn wood with pallets and stuff like that, there'd be nails and glass and stuff like that left in it. So we just used our own garden space after a while, which kept it more personal, so it's just for our block and obviously other friends and people who were close by us. But a lot of it really was between just our block with how things were run, because we had Trisha, who also was part of the Silwood Youth Centre. Kim next door to me had a job in the youth centre, and Linda downstairs at number 5 had a job in the youth centre. So
Is this the one under Lamble?
no, the one under Lamble. When they built that, before that it was in the community hall opposite that Lamble, but they was evicted out of there, and then got put into the new building, which I think was shared by Lewisham and Southwark, because the estate was cut into two, wasn't it? Where you had us on the Lewisham side, and then this side was the residents for Southwark, but they both got together to make the community centre for all of us.
What do you remember about that youth club?
Oh, the youth club, brilliant. We had a lot of good things there. We used to they always organised the street parties, days out like paintball, go-karting, ice skating, all funded by, charitable donations and things like that. We had a number of things over the years. One of the biggest things that sticks out is literally what happened in the later part of the youth centre being there was when my dad had actually built the back gardens into a calf and an area for kids to play, but shielded it off with a 10-foot timber wall all the way around it. And Dad was actually awarded a plaque and a cheque from the council to say thank you for all his hard work. He did it for nothing, but him and a friend. Just countless times really. everything. No, everything from Christmas parties, birthday parties, weddings, for everybody on the estate.
What else did your dad do for the community?
Oh wow, loads of things. He helped with the different action groups and committees. He was even a member of the, what they call it for the school, the parent governors. So he got really involved. Being a one-parent family and being a man, he was kind of forgotten about. So he campaigned to get the mothers and toddlers group into a parents and toddlers group to encourage more dads to get involved. But that went for a long time, really, and that was in Alpine Road, next to the Beaconsfield pub. So, and he lived there up until literally 2000. He moved out before I did, actually, and then he moved to Blackheath, and then I moved to New Cross. And that was 20 years ago now.
Yeah, that's quick, isn't it?
It does.
Did your dad like living on?
I loved it.
Did he?
He loved it.
What did he love about it?
The community spirit, where everyone was more like family. We all mucked in, helped out. And because my dad was a bit of a handyman, he could do anything really. He would paint people's front rooms out, plumb their kitchens in, bits and pieces here and there, as well as he worked in different yards on Silwood Street for many years. He had basically like an office in the local cafe, Harry's Cafe. He used to go in the cafe every day, and people would leave like a note, Brian, come do me a bit of work. And yeah, that was like originally the first community centre really, because we'd all end up in the cafe most days, sitting around, having something to eat, a cup of tea. And it was like the hub. And then later on, the youth centre came. And my dad would actually turn the hairdressers into a cafe for Harry, because Harry would run the hairdressers there originally.
Yeah, that's where they had my haircuts in the 50s and 60s.
Well, I used to go in there, get a break, come on, get my hair cut. All that's gone now. Thinking back, it's such a shame, it really is. Especially when you think of how they broke up our community, and most of us never really got to see that again. So I've moved to many places over the last 20 years, never really felt that where I was and where I moved to, that we had that community spirit like we used to do here. Because you wouldn't be able to avoid it, because they would knock on your door and say, right, we've got this happening, that happening, bring the kids. And street parties happening on this day, Jubilee parties, we had just fates, things like that on the green, all sorts over the years.
Yeah. What schools did you go?
I went Rothwhite Primary, and I was a bit of a naughty boy, so I was taken out of Rothwhite Primary and put in specialist education. And that never really worked either. I was taken out of that and put into tutors, and that never really worked. And then I found myself following the path like so many did of being a naughty boy. But by the time I reached my 20s, I kind of changed it around, had kids, moved off, and 20 years later I'm now a scaffolder, building houses for other people.
Yeah. So did you go to a secondary school?
No.
No, just...
No, I wasn't allowed to go into mainstream education because of I had different issues as a kid. Didn't play well with others. I moved to Silwood when I was, just over a year old. And I come from Nunhead. We had a place up in Nunhead, just off of Nunhead Lane.
So was it a good move for the family?
Oh yeah, I think it was. Obviously, we moved for space because my little brother was born here. We moved here when my mum was pregnant with my little brother, and give us space and more of a community, because where we was there, it was just a little block of flats. There was no public facilities for anybody in that area. So moving here. Obviously, I don't remember it, but my older brother Brian and my older brother Tony do, and that they always say that it was always a better move to move here. And living here for 22 years like I did, I grew up with all the other younger kids that grew up here into adulthood. And obviously, we've all gone off and had our kids.
right on your front door, you had the big pitch, didn't you?
Green literally come out of my block and you were on the green.
Do you remember the football matches on the?
Oh, on the green,
pitch?
yeah. We used to have football matches every other day. Some of them at 10 o'clock at night.
Until you couldn't see the ball.
Well, yeah. Using street lights to keep the car on the goal.
How many aside would you play?
Oh, we wouldn't really pay numbers really. It'd just be like everyone split into two groups, and some side of the team might have 15, the other side might have 20. I think halfway through the match, other people just defected and went and played for the other side that was winning. So it weren't really a set-up thing. It was just fun. Yeah. But more often than not, we were climbing the trees or over in the old yards.
What can you say about the community spirit?
Oh, it's brilliant. Second to none. The people around here at that time all looked out for each other. You know, you couldn't walk through the estate without someone seeing you. And like, if I was up to no good being naughty, then they'd get back to my dad. And the same for all my friends. So, although at that time we didn't like it, you look back and you realise that the community spirit was great. It was brilliant, especially once it'd gone. You noticed it straight away. You know, once I moved away, I didn't have the support of my friends and neighbours around. I didn't know half my neighbours. I can't think of anything else.
Oh, tell us about the Facebook. How did that come about?
Well, I didn't actually start the Facebook group. The Facebook group was started by Sharon Bangs and Matthew McAvoy. They started the group and then added me to it, and then later left it with me. And for the last 8 years, I've run the Facebook group on my own. I've only just recruited some admin to help me, and it's hard trying to encourage people to get involved and post some pictures, but yourself is pretty much you and me that's posting things on that group and getting things going. You know, with the history of the estate as well as the estate that was here before. You know, hopefully we can try and rebuild a community for the people that are here now. You know, and recently there's been a dispute about this place.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
I only just found that out when Jacqueline contacted us through my group yesterday, and I was like, wow, this is something that we shouldn't be doing. And I then contacted Debbie and Janice and asked whether they could help, because they've been through this before. They've been through with it with Sub Council and National Council. And Janice was actually running the youth centre when they knocked the building down, and she was a big part of this place being built, because she was, you know, we can't just knock it down and not provide, you know, something for the community to replace it. But from what I can understand, they were supposed to hand over control of this place to a committee run by the residents here. So I haven't yet spoken to Jacqueline, but I will do within the next few days and try and see what's going on, see if I can help.
Because I've sent in a message saying you'll be perfect for the film, and all she's clicked on, and she ain't replied. And I've sent a thing saying, I've sent you a message, and she's like, click like on it.
Yeah, she still hasn't read the message, because I said to her, I'm down here today. If you want to come and meet me, we can meet up today and try and get a few people together, because I still know lots of people here, and I know that from speaking to some of them, they haven't really tried to get involved with the community centre.
And then you can't just expect to have a community spirit. You've got to be part of it.
You've got to, yeah. You can't just expect one or two people to do it. You know, like all those years ago, Debbie, Trisha, Kim. You know, they worked hard. You know, they chased it. They didn't just let it go. And before social media, they'd knock on your door. I tell you, there was a meeting tonight. Make sure you come, and they would fill these halls up with people and get people to voice their opinions and make them listen. And it was a hard battle, because Debbie, she got kicked out of the original club and campaigned to get the new space underneath the building, and that was only through her hard work and dedication to try and get something for the community here. Because as you remember yourself, it was running downhill, the kids were running riot, there was nothing for us to do. And I can honestly, hand on my heart, say that if it weren't for that community centre, then a lot more of us would have gone the wrong way. You know, I ended up becoming a community outreach worker for that youth centre over the years for the motorbike project. So like it helped me get out of the hanging around on street corners and riding motorbikes across the estate. You know, it seemed like fun at the time. There was nothing else to do, so we did it. But it's a shame to think that L&Q are not really on board with the residents here and not doing their part for the community, especially after what I've heard from Jacqueline. So I think we all need to get behind her and support them fully. Absolutely. Even though I'm no longer a resident here and it's been 20 years since I have been, I think we still have a duty to the people round here to give them the best they can, because there's a lot of young families around, there's a lot of young kids, and I understand exactly where they come from, because when I was growing up here there was nothing originally, and if it weren't for all the hard work and dedication of the parents, because that's what they were the parents trying to make something for their children. And Debbie, Jackie, they're very similar people in that way, because they're fighting for what they know they should be getting, especially from this place.
Right. Overall, was it a good time?
Oh, I loved it. It was, you know, it weren't the nicest place in the world, it weren't the cleanest place in the world, but it was ours. It was home. Still today, I call it home. I come back, where you go? I'm going back down home, you know, this is where I'm from. You know, I spent a big part of my childhood here. Although I've been away for 20 years now, it still feels like home. There's still recognisable parts to it. You know, you've still got the church, you've still got all the buildings around the Silwood Estate that's still there. So it's recognisable, and there's still a lot of recognisable faces as well for me to come back and see. You know, like I said, they moved us out first from that side of Silwood, the Lewisham side, and a lot of the residents from Southwark and Lewisham from the back half of Silwood were moved into the new flats. So, and again, they did that again all the way over to Gilham House, and when Gilham House, they're all in these streets now, literally around us now.
My son, he's still up on road.
I haven't seen him for a while, Jimmy. He gets about, I haven't seen.
Right, that's it. Nice one. Nice one, Gal.
Cheers for that, mate.
I'll tell you what I need, because I've got loads of people like yourself and people from our generation saying how great it was growing up here. Hello.
Hiya. I did you last night.
Yeah.
Hi, brilliant.
Yeah, we just talked about. Is it the Jacqueline we're talking about?
Yeah, this is Jacqueline. Oh.
When I was made redundant in 2018 in March, I was here, and I hear everything, I could see everything, I'm like, God, it's terrible, absolutely terrible. So previously, she'd worked with them, but only she's in charge. But when Rita said, well, I've seen these documents, are you supposed to be handing it over to the community? What are you doing about that? They just turned against us. Totally turned against us.
Hoping you wouldn't know.
Yeah.
But Janice was the best person for that, because she was there from when they knocked down that one and built this one. She was in control of. Debbie had to leave. Debbie's flat